Hey everyone, it's Justin with Number Crunch Nerds. Today we're going to talk about deductible business meals. What's 50% deductible? What is 100% deductible? And how do we get that information into TurboTax? I'm using the TurboTax Home and Business edition. This is the 2022 edition. Now, there's some new rules. There's some temporary rules for 2022, which hopefully you're aware of. In 2022, there's a temporary 100% deduction for business meals, basically, which is any food or beverages from restaurants. So if you go out to eat for business purposes with your employees or with your customers or clients, usually that's a 50% deduction. You can deduct 50% of the cost of those business meals. However, in 2022, if you're watching this video and still preparing your 2022 tax return, the deduction is now 100% for business meals. So we're going to talk about how you get that into TurboTax, and then we're going to talk about some tax planning for 2023 and 2024 because this rule is temporary. It goes away after 2022. So 2022, which is the year we're working on right here in TurboTax, this will be the last year, at least at the moment. At least at the moment, that's the last year for 100% deduction. It's always possible. The law can change again for a variety of reasons, but as of the making of this video, 2023 and 2024 taxes will be back at 50%. So let's get some numbers into the return here, so we can take a look how you get these to populate. We're in the Business tab right here under Business Income and Expenses. We're going to click Continue. I'm going to choose what I want to work on right here. Where we're going is right here on the first section, Business Income and Expenses. So I'm going to update that. You should have your business listed here. If not, go through this button right here and you'll put in some basic information about your business, and then it'll be right here in this list. Once it's there, we're going to click Edit. And then we're going to go down to Business Expenses right here. And we're going to go to Other Common Business Expenses in this section right here. So we're going to update that. And then we're going to scroll all the way down here to Meals right here. And we're going to click Update for that one. Now in here, there's two sections. There's the 50% limit and there's the 100% limit. Now, if you happen to go into the 50% limit, okay, it will tell you right up here. Note that for tax years 2021, 2022, business meals are 100% deductible if the meals are food and beverages provided by a restaurant, right? So basically you go out to lunch with your employees, you go out to lunch with your clients or customers. That's the most common scenario, right? So it tells you this right here, okay? However, you are required to know that you have to go back and you have to actually put the number in right here under the 100% limit for 2022. If you put the number in here by mistake, the system will still calculate only 50% of this and put it on your return. Okay, so the actual calculation in this field still adjusts out 50%. All right, so it tells you that it's 100% deductible right here, but you still have to go back and put it into this section right here under the 100% field, which is in this one right here. Now we're going to check this, okay? So you can check for yourself on the return to see if it's working and if you got it into the right place. So I just want you to note these numbers. I put $500 into the 50% limit field, and I put $600 into the 100% limit field. So that's a total of $1,100 right there, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up to Forms. Here's the Forms view up here on the right. I'm going to click on that. And we're going to go to Schedule C. Schedule C is right here. Schedule C is the profit or loss from a business. This is where you report all your business income and expenses for a sole proprietorship or for a single member LLC. If you have a single member LLC set up and you're running your business through that. So we're going to scroll all the way down here to this part two right here, expenses, and we're going to go down to line 24B. 24B is meals. It says meals subject to the 50% limit. Now you can see the 500 there. Remember, it was 500 and 600 for a total of 1100. And you can see that down here on this line, not subject to the limit, there's the 600. Okay, so you might look at that and go, oh, you know what? The system is not, it's not actually limiting me this year. It's letting me take the full amount. It's not limiting me to 50%. But what you might have missed is that down here on this line, meals limitation. Okay, first it adds these two numbers together to get 1100. And then down here on this line, it actually subtracts out 50% of this number. So there's 500 there. It's subtracting out $250 right here, making deductible meals only $850. So the field is still adjusting for 50%. So you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware that for 2022, the meals that you would normally think of as 50% limited meals, which is most meals, most business meals in general are subject to the 50% limit. Normally you'd put them in this field right here, but you have to just not put them in there. Okay, don't put anything in this field for 2022. Put them all in here in the 100% limit. That way they won't end up getting limited when the numbers actually hit the return. Okay, so that's 2022 and how you actually get the numbers into the system and to show up properly on Schedule C. Now we're going to talk about some quick tax planning ideas. Let's quickly go over 2022 versus 2023 and 2024. What is deductible? So in 2022, like I said, the most common things would be like taking your employees to lunch, right? Or taking your customers or clients to lunch, or overtime meals that are brought in, through a delivery service for your employees who are working overtime or something like that. Okay? In 2022, all of that is 100% deductible. But in 2023 and 2024, the rule reverts back to the 50%. Okay? So in 2023, 2024, you're going to, as far as TurboTax and how you enter the numbers, you will put these numbers back in the 50% field again. Okay? So these are the items that revert back. Now, let's talk real quick about items that are actually 100% deductible, and that's true in 2022, and it's true in future years, because these items are always 100% deductible, and this is where some possible tax planning can come into play for you in 2023 and 2024, and we'll go down here and we'll talk about that in just a second. Team building events. If you do some kind of event with your employees for team building purposes, that's the meals associated with that, and the cost of the event itself, but the meals associated with that, because we're talking about meals in this video, those meals are 100% deductible if they're related to some kind of team building activity. Meals included in the compensation of an independent contractor or an employee, actually. If you actually put the cost of the meal into their pay, into their compensation, into the 1099 that you're supposed to provide to the independent contractor if they perform more than $600 of services for you in a given year. If you actually include the cost of the meal with that, then you can deduct it at 100% instead of having it be limited to 50%. All right, so there's a possible planning idea there that we'll talk about. And then meals that are a critical part of your business. I have a possible planning idea there, especially for creatives or people who are running businesses online. There may be some opportunities here with this. These two lists are the same for 2022 and then the subsequent years. All these items here are always 100% deductible. It's the real common ones, like going out to lunch with an employee of yours or with a customer or a client. Those are the ones that usually are 50% deductible, but there was a break for it was actually 2021 and 2022, but 2021 returns are pretty much long gone at this point. So if you're still working on your 2022 return, keep this in mind right here. All right, let's quickly go to some possible planning ideas that you could consider for 2023 and beyond. The first one is, are you performing team building events already and not taking credit for it? Meaning, are you doing something that would probably qualify as a team building event with your employees, and yet maybe you're still just deducting 50% of the meal? And it may not even be that you're doing it on purpose. It could be that, for example, you have, let's say you have a specific credit card that you use for, employee-related events, or maybe employee meals specifically, or something, or just your accounting system is set up, whatever accounting system you are using, or maybe if you're just tracking things in Excel, your system is set up to put all meals in the 50% bucket, or just put them all in the same bucket, and then you put that entire amount into the 50% field within TurboTax or whatever tax system you're using, and it gets limited, right? It gets limited to 50% when actually you could deduct it at 100% if you would just separate it out within your accounting system, or however you track your books and records. Okay, so that's one thing that you want to consider. Are you doing any kind of team building events and not appropriately separating out the cost of the meals associated with that from the cost of general business meals? You may be missing out on a deduction there if you're doing something like that. And another question could be, can you modify, if you have some kind of recurring employee-related event in your business, or even if it doesn't occur that often, but maybe once a quarter or something like that, is it a team building event in reality, but you're actually not documenting it appropriately? Meaning you're not documenting things like what the agenda was, who was in attendance, what the business purpose was, etc. And because you're not documenting it that way, maybe you're not taking the full deduction for meals that you could otherwise be taking, because this is a case where you're doing it already, right? Or maybe you're almost doing it, and if you just modified the actual activities that occurred there a little bit, maybe it would actually qualify as a team building activity. That's something to consider. All right, a possible tax planning idea there. Another one would be, are you including the cost of meals in compensation of an independent contractor or an employee, and still only deducting 50%? Because you might be, again, it could be all about your accounting system. You order a meal a certain way, it's paid for in a certain way, and your accounting system treats it a certain way. It lumps it up in the same bucket with all the other meals, and you're actually putting that amount on the 1099 you're giving to independent contractors, and yet still only deducting 50% when you would be eligible to deduct 100%. So you could be missing a deduction there. And that's all about your accounting system potentially. Like, how are you actually keeping track of the difference between 50% deductible meals and 100% deductible meals, right? That's something you could look into within your own accounting system or your small business if you think it's potentially an issue where you're missing out on deductions. Another tax planning idea you might have, especially for creatives or people who are running businesses online, can you make meals a critical part of your existing business? And what that would mean is, like, for example, a food blogger or a food critic, or somebody who is taking pictures of food, critiquing restaurants, whatever the case is, and you may be saying, well, I'm not in that business. And that may be true, you're not in that business. But if you're already running businesses online, or you're doing some kind of creative work, what's to keep you from starting that as another business? You know what I mean? And it's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to want to do that. But you could be saying, well, I do go out for lunch every day already. I'm already doing that, just like anybody's going out to eat. If I started a business with the legitimate intention of creating some sort of blog or social media feed or something that ultimately would be monetized, then you not that you're just pretending because you want to take a 100% deduction, but can you actually legitimately attempt to start a business with the intention of making money off of it, monetizing it at some point? I mean, all businesses tend to lose money at the beginning. So the fact that some kind of business like that wouldn't necessarily make money right from the beginning is understandable. But if you're doing it not as a hobby, but you're doing it like with the intention of making a profit off of it eventually, and you document it and you set up the business appropriately, etc., there's no I mean, if you're legitimately doing that, then there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to deduct 100% of all your meals that are involved in this, because that's what the business is. Like, if the business is to eat food and critique it, or critique restaurants while you're there eating, etc., then the food becomes a critical part of your business. And that would allow you to take a 100% deduction on all of the meals. So it's a possible consideration, which some people might be interested in. I can certainly understand how that one's not for everybody. So that is those are some planning ideas, some things to look for in your accounting system regarding how you're treating meals in general, as far as accounting for the numbers, so you can determine if you're bucketing them in the right places. And some other possible ideas. Just keep in mind, 2023, 2024, the rule has reverted back. So general business meals will be 50%. If you are having trouble keeping organized for business taxes, you want to improve your processes, you want to improve your procedures, you want to improve your documentation, not only so you make sure you're getting all the deductions that you're entitled to, but also for audit defense, etc. I do have tax documentation tutorials at the link below this video if you're interested in checking those out. My name is Justin from Number Crunch Nerds, and I will see you in the next video.